Oh boy, do I have a story for you guys today. This is probably the most wholesome thing that I've seen happen on the dark web in a while. That's right, the very same dark web that's filled with all kinds of scary cartel members, hackermans, and EDPs also apparently has hardworking, honest people lurking around in the onions. So our story is about the Elude hidden service, the exit scam that the admins of Elude recently ran, and most importantly, the valiant efforts of the Elude Hidden Services customer service rep. So if you go and visit Dread right now, and yeah, in case you haven't been on the dark web for a while, Dread is back online, along with this rotational private onion link service called Daunt that is created by the same admins of Dread. And it's been doing a lot to keep Dread online, as well as other important hidden services in Onion Land as well. But anyway, let's take a look at Elude, because they are still online, even though they are currently in the process of exit scamming. So this hidden service, if you're not familiar with it, it's primarily used as an anonymous cryptocurrency exchanger where you can swap between Bitcoin and Monero, or Litecoin and Monero, Litecoin and Bitcoin, so on and so forth. And Elude is also used as a Bitcoin mixer, which is a service that is supposed to try and give you some anonymity with Bitcoin by swapping out your Bitcoin that you might have bought at an exchange, or Bitcoin that you might have gotten from some illegal means, with other people's Bitcoin that has no relation to you and should be easier for you to cash out without any problems. And finally, Elude is also used as a free email service, a free anonymous email service, which might still be technically viable since the email service is free. I guess there's not really any way to exit scam with it. Although the fact that the admins are exit scamming with all of the crypto stuff would not make me want to trust the email service at all. I just signed up to this so that I could show you guys what this panel looks like. So the exit scam that the admins were pulling was they drained all of these wallets that people were depositing into on the platform in order to use their Bitcoin mixer or in order to exchange for other cryptos. Thus, the post title on Dread, "We are exit scamming, do not deposit." The admins had disabled all withdrawals on the site, so if you deposited anything into Elude, it's basically just a donation to the exit scamming admins at this point. Now, unfortunately, it's not all that surprising that Elude went out this way with an exit scam, because if you think about it, there's really only two ways that these hidden services go out. Either the service ends up getting raided by the police and it either gets shut down, or in some cases, the police might continue running the service themselves, impersonating the admins in order to try and de-anonymize vendors, customers, and possibly even admins from rival dark web services, because those guys do end up talking to each other. So that's kind of the bad ending for a dark web admin, or the good ending is that the admins end up making enough money to where they just decide to retire. These guys who run these platforms, they're kind of like kingpins in a way. They're kind of like cartel bosses, because they're getting a percentage of every single sale that goes through the site. Usually it's going to be something like 5 or 10%. And you've got to think, if these services get to the point where there's tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto going through there every year, it doesn't take long for them to get an amount of money that's going to have them set for life. And since the admins of these services are anonymous, the only thing that you can really actually identify them with is their PGP keys, because they can use this to sign messages, and they're the only ones that are able to sign messages if they are controlling the private key. But if the admins are going to retire, then that PGP key is going to get deleted. There's no reason to keep it. In fact, it would actually be a bad idea to keep it in case one day their computer ends up getting analyzed and police, whoever, end up seeing that PGP key. So they're going to end up deleting that key. And so since they're burning the key, it also is very tempting to just burn the reputation that's associated with the key by running away with all of the crypto that people had deposited in those wallets. But forums like Dread, they're starting to make exit scamming a whole lot harder because lots of people on the dark web come here to do research on hidden services before using them. And if people aren't able to withdraw their funds from the hidden service, then you're going to start seeing posts about it on here. Those posts are going to start gaining a whole lot of traction. They're probably going to end up getting pinned to the front page. And now everyone on the dark web, or at least everyone on the dark web that uses Dread, is going to know that there's a scam taking place. Now, if we take a look down in the comments of this post, someone asked, not to state the obvious, but aren't you also an admin of Elude? And so why are you saying, oh no, the admins are doing this? Is this some kind of trick? Wouldn't that mean that you're in on it? But this Elude guy tells us that he's just customer support. He had no access to anything, which made his job frustratingly difficult. Man, I can only imagine how frustratingly difficult that job is already, to be a customer support rep for, well, I don't know, I guess people that are trying to launder money, since that's, I guess, the illegal part that Elude would have been used for. I guess it wasn't that great because the admins offered this guy $1K per week to keep quiet, which really is not that bad of a payday. In fact, if you do the math on it, it actually ends up being more annually than what the DEA was paying that Amtrak employee to be an informant for them from 1995 to 2014. That wasn't enough to break this Elude guy's honesty. And he probably saved people tens of thousands of dollars worth of crypto, if I had to guess, because a lot of places recommended Elude. It was on KYC Not Me up until fairly recently. Let's see, this is from March 24th on the Wayback Machine. And you can see Elude is actually the #2 non-KYC exchange that's listed here. It's only second to BISC. So I hope this really hammers home how important this whistleblowing was by the Elude customer service rep. Give this guy a round of applause, as well as a round of applause for the fast action by Hugbunter at Dread, because he pinned this to the front page so that everybody could see it. And the same goes for the admins of Tor.taxi, who also have a PSA here at the top. Elude is exit scamming. And the admins of KYC.me, who delisted Elude on April 5th. So there's a lot of swift action that's going on here from, I guess you would call these the various authorities of the dark web, or the various authorities of the dark web, non-KYC crypto exchanges, and so on. Now, what are some of the lessons that we can learn from this exit scam in order to better protect ourselves from losing money to immoral admins who decide to rip people off? Well, the obvious answer is to simply not keep funds that you don't mind losing in wallets that you don't control. Not your keys, not your coins is the Crypto Chad mantra for a reason. It doesn't matter whether it's a clear web exchange like FTX that's supposedly regulated, or a dark web one like Elude. Whenever someone else controls the private keys, the funds in those wallets are under their control. So the first bit of advice that I have is to keep the amount of money that's in hot wallets like this to an absolute minimum. And another smart move would be to try and avoid using these exchanges as much as possible in the first place. If you're a dark web vendor, then you get to decide what cryptocurrencies you accept for your wares. Or in some cases, a particular dark web market might mandate you to use a particular cryptocurrency like White House Market, for example, which is one of the few markets which went out the good way. They retired, and they actually gave people a couple of weeks to withdraw their funds. Some people say that they exit scammed, but I think if you have some time to take your funds out, it's not really that much of an exit scam. But anyway, they famously switched to using Monero only on that market a couple of months before their retirement. So that's an example where you might be forced to use a particular cryptocurrency, but being forced to use Monero really is not that bad. Monero is the obvious choice for transactions on the dark web since it's more private and way more fungible than Bitcoin or Litecoin. So I guess the issue here, the real issues are that vendors want to be able to turn their Monero into other cryptos for some reason, maybe because Bitcoin and Litecoin tend to pump a lot more than Monero, so it makes sense. Holding those and then selling at the top could make you a lot more money. Or it could also be that vendors are wanting to accept other cryptos besides Monero to expand their customer base because, well, there's probably people out there with Bitcoin and Litecoin that want to get high too. But as part of their OPSEC procedures, they want to swap those less private cryptocurrencies into Monero for better privacy. So let's address the issue of swapping less private cryptos like Bitcoin into Monero first, because there is a solution for that, which is pretty much scam-proof, called atomic swaps. Now, according to getmonero.org, atomic swaps are a way to exchange two cryptocurrencies, in this case Monero and Bitcoin, without relying on a trusted third party like a cryptocurrency exchange company or an anonymous cryptocurrency dark web exchange. And without needing to trust the person on the other side of the swap. So this is the person you're exchanging with. These swaps are called atomic because they only have two possible outcomes. Either the trade is successfully completed and each trader receives the other one's funds, or nothing happens and both traders keep the funds that they started with. No option for exit scamming. And since the protocol forces both parties to follow the rules, it's not possible to run away with the other party's coins, which is the main reason that trusted third parties are required when exchanging cryptocurrencies. So instead of you having to trust a third party, atomic swaps use open source cryptographic protocols that allow you to change Bitcoin into Monero. And there's also atomic swaps that are available for Litecoin to Bitcoin. And there's more cross-chain atomic swaps that are being worked on every single day. So if you're dealing with cryptocurrency, you really need to make learning decentralized finance, that's what this is right here, a priority. Get familiar with smart contracts and atomic swaps because this is the only way to really avoid exit scams and KYC. And another thing to look into is actually using the cryptocurrency that you're receiving to just buy things. Now, let me be clear. Do not use Bitcoin that you got from the dark web to buy stuff. Same goes for Litecoin or any other transparent blockchain that you're using for dark web shenanigans. Don't go spending that stuff at your favorite store. But if you're a dark web vendor that has Monero, then you should be safe using that Monero since stealth addresses in RingCT would remove any links between your dark web activity and you buying a shirt with Monero from base.win. The whole point of cryptocurrency in my world is to use it as a currency, as a medium of exchange, which is why it is the preferred currency on base.win. And look, I know right now my humble online store, base.win, just sells Superfly merch and electronics that are made from the world's finest Chinesium. But once I relocate to a rural area, I'll be able to afford warehouse space in order to expand the selection of products that my store sells and, more importantly, expand into selling more essential goods like food and drinks, because regardless of how you get your Monero, you're gonna need something to eat. you're going to need something to quench your thirst. And so why not buy that directly from me with your Monero instead of trying to convert it into fiat so that you can try to shop at Walmart with all of their security cameras that are going to be watching your every move, or trying to shop online at Amazon with their trackers that are going to track you all across the internet. And of course, you can't really shop online, or at least you can't shop on Amazon with Tor very reliably since they block most of their IP addresses. Online stores that respect users' privacies is in high demand right now. Think of them like online bodegas. Just like how the plug pays cash for blunts at the corner store because the cash is fungible and he likes the guy behind the counter, the cyber plug is going to buy their daily essentials from shops like mine with Monero. So for those of you out there with the entrepreneurial itch, consider this a heads up. There's a lot of fat crypto wallets out there that are looking to spend some money without people trying to track their every move. So if you haven't integrated Monero payments into your online store yet, you better get on that because the time for the Monero bodega is here.